filming it for our YouTube audience today. Thank you all. I'd like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North Congregation, which we lovingly call UUMAN. We are a liberal faith community with the mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If we have any first-time visitors today and you feel comfortable doing so, would you stand and give us your name and where you're from? Do I have any visitors out here, first-time visitors? Yes, no? Welcome.
First-time visitor, Mike Capuzio from Cumming, Georgia. I've been to Georgia Mountain, UUC, a couple of times as well. So.
Yeah. Welcome, Mike. Mike, good to see you. Yes? Okay. Welcome. This is Beth and Peter, is that right? Yeah, welcome. Yeah, Cumming is represented today. That's good to see you. Good. Oh, we got another one, yes. Welcome, Karen. Good to see you this morning. Yeah. So I've got a few announcements this morning. So first, our COVID reminder that we use COVID Act Now to monitor the current COVID risk levels. And since at least one of the counties in our surrounding area is at a moderate risk level, we are requiring masks for our gatherings, and there's no congregational singing. So hopefully we'll be through this soon and back to being unmasked. Reminder that Youth RE will meet today over in the Discovery Hall at 11:15. I hope you can join Lexi and our dedicated teachers that will be leading us today. Reminder that we have a fidget corner, and I haven't, where's the fidget corner, Lexi? Okay, back in the back. So any of our children or adults, if you get fidgety and want to go back, feel free to do that. Announcement about UU 101. So our next UU 101, which is our overview and introduction to Unitarian Universalism and the UUMAN congregation specifically, will be next January the 15th and January the 22nd. Both of those will take place immediately after the service at 11:15. If you're new to our congregation or new to UU or considering becoming a member of UUMAN, it's a great opportunity to come in and learn more about us and our history of social justice, the programs that we offer here, and our involvement in the community. If you want to register, you can see one of our greeters or Jane Sewell, who is right in the back. Did you wave, Jane? Yeah, all right, good. A couple of adult enrichment offerings this morning. I'll do a service reflection, again, after we have our coffee hour, coffee time. I'll do it back in the minister's office, which is the minister's study, which is back down the hall here. Jennifer Radcliffe is going to be doing a 3-session leadership group today, starting in the second hour, and then we'll have it again on the 22nd and on the 5th. So developed by the UUA, Centered Leadership Part 1 is designed for people considering leadership, who are beginning to lead or who have leadership experience in contexts other than Unitarian Universalist faith communities. And in that we'll cover how covenant is the center of UU faith, how our congregational polity works, how we can create strong, healthy communities, and a deeper understanding of being a committed member of our congregations and a wider UUA. And Jennifer, where are we going to be doing that? Are you going to do that in here? Where is Jennifer?
That's what it says on the website.
What's that?
That's what it says on the website.
That's what it says on the website. Okay. All right, so that'll be in here. At the end of the service, we ask that you help us with stacking the chairs back up. We do have the Primo School will be meeting in here on Monday, so we need to gather those up. So if you have a couple minutes afterwards and can help us stack, that'd be greatly appreciated. And now I've got Elizabeth Rohan is going to give us another announcement.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Rohan, a member of UUMAN, and I am so excited about our MLK Day of Service, which is next Monday, the 16th of January. So far, we have 14 adults, 5 or 6 teens and 5 children under 13. So that's a lot of people. We're so excited that we're all going to be volunteering together at Fur Kids in Cumming, 5235 Union Hill Road, in case you're familiar with Cumming, which apparently some of you are. And another announcement to sign up is coming out today at 11. Love that Google feature. You know, you can program to send in advance now. If you have any questions, please contact me. I also have, if you've already signed up, I have the volunteer agreement. It just requires your signature. If you can see me after service, or I can give it to you that day. But really excited to see you all. We're also going to have lunch ahead of time. That's all in the UUMAN announcement. So hopefully we'll see you there. The lunch is at noon, and the volunteering starts at 1:30. Thanks. See you then.
Good morning. Now for our call to worship. We gather, we bring our sorrows, our disappointments, our failures. We gather for healing, for laughter, and to rejoice. We gather to find new ways of loving, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. We gather, yes, always we gather, for it is in gathering that we find our hope.
All right. And I forgot to light the candle. Did anybody have a lighter? You got one? All right. And Jeremy's got it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, thanks. Spontaneous. I appreciate that. And now let's light our chalice together. If you can help and read along with me the chalice lighting that is in your program today. With full hearts, we affirm our relationships with one another. We recognize our agency and our connective power, and we accept our responsibility to be bold and courageous. We light this chalice, symbol of all that we are, all that we have done together, and all that we will be as our shared ministry encourages those within and beyond our walls. Thank you. I did make sure there was water in the bowl for joys and sorrows. So now is the time in our service where we share our joys with each other to magnify them and our sorrows to divide the weight of the pain. If you're so moved, please feel free to come forward, drop a pebble in the bowl, and while wearing your mask, express a joy or a sorrow that you may have. For those of you attending via our live stream, you may enter a joy or sorrow into the chat, and we'll recognize that. Okay.
I'm excited that I had a play date with my friend yesterday, and I'm sad that I'm going back to school tomorrow.
Well, I don't have to go back to school tomorrow, but I am back in the real world after 17 days in Scotland and the UK with my 17-year-old daughter. So I had a great experience with her, just kind of reconnecting and seeing lots of places we'd never seen before. So it was a great joy.
Great.
I'm Amanda. And it looks like my little boy will have to have a tonsillectomy, but I think it'll probably be for the best.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I have two joys. I turned 26 yesterday. Thank you. My husband did his best to keep a very hormonal pregnant woman, make her have the best day ever, and it was not easy, so shout out to him. And our other joy is that last Sunday, we smashed a piñata and found out that we're having a boy. So I brought candy to share with all of you. Please take it from me.
I'm Dewana. I am celebrating having real friends in my life. I mean, I'm 68. And when I think back about friendships, I just kind of tooled along and went to school and hid and went to other places, started work. But I look around here, and I have friends in here. I mean, each one separate. And I thank you for being my friend. So.
And I'll drop one final pebble for the joys and sorrows that are still too tender to escape the folds of our heart. We ask that we keep everybody in your hearts and prayers this week.
Without music, sermon gets here pretty quick. How's everybody doing? Okay, I think I know what's going on. Hold on. Okay. Well, as I mentioned before, I'm Amanda Brawley. And once a month, we give our beloved minister a much-needed break, and someone else is designated to give the sermon, and today that someone is me. So lately, I've been thinking a lot about relationships. What goes right with them? What goes wrong with them? Why do we get along with some people better than others? What role does our relationship with ourselves play in our interpersonal relationships? Driving to Florida recently, I happened on a couple podcasts there was like episodes of the podcast called Hidden Brain. And on the mission page of its website, it reads, "Nowhere is this journey of exploration more profound than in the discoveries we can make about our own selves. Our inner worlds are so much with us, so familiar to us, that many of us have lost the ability to marvel at our own minds. Yet there is no form of exploration more exhilarating. Every episode of Hidden Brain aims to help people get to know themselves a little better, to think of their inner worlds with less judgment and more curiosity. Philosophers have told us for centuries that the highest wisdom is to know ourselves. I draw inspiration from the world of poetry. And he has a little poem here. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. And that's quoted T.S. Eliot. So, as humans with personal relationships and public ones, as you use within this congregation, we have a need to relate to one another. And indeed, social connection, a sense of community, has been identified as one of the human's core needs. Along with shelter, water, purpose, food, the sense of belonging is just as essential. I personally find that my UU faith, my spiritual practice, requires me to continually improve the way I relate to others, within my family, within other relationships, within this congregation, beyond this congregation, and with the public, as a way to effect positive change. And I really loved what this podcast, actually it was a couple of them, what they had to say about ways to do that, and primarily listening and understanding each other. So we've all had disagreements, arguments, conflicts. Have you ever found yourself in a disagreement like this, and you found that your perception of the issue and the other person's perception of the issue were completely different? Have you found yourself unable to bridge that gap? So one of the concepts that might be at play here is the idea of naive realism, which the Harvard psychologist Julia Minson describes as basically the idea that people naively believe that their perceptions of reality and how things are and how things ought to be are realistic. So what I perceive is what's sort of really out there, and it's an idea that works just fine when we talk about our physical perceptions. So if I think something is a solid object, then I should treat it as such and not walk into it. But then people apply the same conviction to social reality, which is generally really, really messy and often hotly contested. So you take topics where reasonable people disagree and see things very, very differently, and yet both sides still think that they have an accurate conceptualization of how reality really is. I basically get it. I see how things are. And what people sort of forget is that what I see isn't exactly what's out there, it's what my brain allows me to see. So essentially what we see is what we believe is, and that's the idea of naive realism. And this is naive because each person has their own perceptions. So I love my dad. He's hardworking, fun to be around, honest, dutiful, loyal, and he's a great musician. He has a lot of qualities that I admire. And he's the first person I think of when contemplating this idea of naive realism. Who's heard of the game Apples to Apples? Have you ever played Apples to Apples? Okay, some people. So we played this game once with a group of friends, and he kept being flabbergasted each time someone didn't choose his card. Obviously, the one he put down was the correct one. He failed to realize that the person choosing the card has a different perspective than he does. And that's the point of the game, to place a card that the chooser will pick. Another way he exhibits naive realism is in political discussions. It's impossible to have any productive conversation with him on this front, because he's convinced he has all the answers, his opinion is the only correct one, etc. Okay, so how do we go from being pitted against each other, convinced the other party is wrong and we are right, to cooperation and understanding? Well, for one thing, we do need to listen to each other. But more importantly, we need to make the other person feel like they're being heard. And luckily, this psychologist has come up with an idea she calls conversational receptiveness. And there are 4 simple techniques that we can remember under the acronym HEAR, as in I hear you. So H stands for hedging, and this includes the use of words like perhaps, or sometimes, or maybe, instead of words like always, only, never, just. Benjamin Franklin, actually, in one of his autobiographies, he wrote of his success in using a technique similar to this one. He developed the, quote, habit of expressing myself in terms of modest diffidence, never using, when I advanced anything that may possibly be disputed, the words certainly, undoubtedly, or any others that give the air of positiveness to an opinion, but rather say, I conceive or apprehend a thing to be so and so. It appears to me, or I should think it so or so, for such and such reasons. Or I imagine it to be so, or it is so if I am not mistaken. This habit, I believe, has been of great advantage to me when I have had occasion to inculcate my opinions and persuade men into measures that I have been from time to time engaged in promoting. So H, hedging. E in this acronym stands for emphasizing agreement. Find something with which to agree in what your counterpart is saying. I'm using the word counterpart and not opponent here, so. As in, yes, the pandemic has been difficult on most of us. Or, yes, it is important to protect the less vulnerable, the vulnerable, the less fortunate. So E, emphasizing agreement, is about finding common ground between us. A stands for acknowledgement. So if we use our own airtime to restate our counterpart's position, it sounds like you're not happy with how the laundry is piled up. I need to remember that one. Or, I hear you saying that you're not pleased with the current, et cetera, and so forth. So again, that's A, acknowledgement. R will stand for reframing to the positive. Instead of saying, I hate when people are censored for stating their opinions, we can say something like, I really love the idea of free speech. So you have HEAR, right? We all love being heard, right? It solves so many relational problems. And the great thing about the HEAR method of conversational receptiveness is that it makes counterparts feel engaged and as though they can trust one another. They view the other as more objective and as having professional judgment. So many interpersonal benefits just from being intentional about listening and receiving a message. Even more importantly, it makes our counterpart want to listen to us. They pick up on this style of communication even without being taught it explicitly. So to recap, let's remember that we all suffer from, in varying degrees, of the phenomenon of naive realism, okay? And hear, as in I hear you. H stands for hedging. It seems to me, if I'm not mistaken, maybe, perhaps, possibly. E for emphasizing agreement. You are right. It is sad that we've had so much water damage. A, acknowledgement. It sounds like you are in favor of a limit to certain free speech rights. And R, reframe to the positive. I like when we can come together to solve a problem. Thanks.
So in an effort to fulfill and further the vision of our congregation, we ask that our members and friends share of their time, talents, and treasures. So with this, we will now take the offering, which the basket will be passed, or you can also give using the Givelify application. Thank you. We accept and pledge to use these wisely to further the mission of our congregation. And now let us extinguish our chalice together. Jennifer, would you mind? Okay. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now for our benediction. Go out now with hearts and hands and minds renewed to the world that is waiting for you. Go out to that world to bring your gentle touch to those in pain. Go out to feed and house those in need. Go out to speak truth to those with power. Go out with courage to do the work which calls you. Go out now with your passion and faith to change the world. Thank you. The service has ended. Go in peace.